September 20th, 2014, from Martin Stadium in Pullman, Washington. It was the number 2 ranked Oregon Ducks at the Washington State Cougars. And what a game this was. Washington State won the coin toss, and they received the ball. They would go 3 and out, and they punted to the Ducks. The Ducks wouldn't get anything going, and they would end up punting the ball back to the Cougars. The Cougars took over on their own 44 with a little under 11 minutes left to play in the first quarter. And 5 plays later, Connor Halliday threw an 18-yard touchdown to Dom Williams to make it 7-0 Washington State. So now the Ducks had the ball with less than 9 minutes left in the first, and they went 3 and out and ended up putting the ball back to the Cougars. The Cougars then would drive all the way down to the Ducks' 11-yard line, and Quentin Breshears came out to attempt a 29-yard field goal. He missed, and the score would remain 7-0. So now the Ducks would take over on their own 20-yard line. And that's when Marcus Mariota threw an 80-yard touchdown pass to Devon Allen to tie this game up at 7 apiece. So now the Cougars took over with about 3.5 minutes left in the first quarter. 7 plays later, Connor Halliday scored, throwing another touchdown pass to Dom Williams, this time for 8 yards, to put the Cougars up 14-7. So now the Ducks took over and brought the first quarter to a close. And they began the second quarter. But this possession was a 3 and out, and they ended up punting the ball back to Washington State. Washington State would end up punting it back to the Ducks, and the Ducks took back over with less than 14 minutes left before halftime. And Marcus Mariota made short work of the Cougars, as it only took them 3 plays to go 73 yards, capped off by a 57-yard touchdown pass to Keanon Lowe to tie this game up at 14 apiece, as Marcus Mariota threw a second touchdown pass of the game. So now Washington State took over with about 13 minutes left before halftime. They marched all the way down to field goal range, but they went for it on 4th and 11 from the Oregon 31. They ended up turning the ball over on downs from an incomplete pass. So now the Ducks took over on their own 31 with about 9 minutes left before halftime. And Marcus Mariota ended up throwing his 3rd touchdown pass of the game as he marched the Ducks downfield 4 plays, 69 yards in less than a minute, capped off by a 13-yard touchdown pass to Devon Allen to put the Ducks up by a touchdown at 21-14. So now the Cougars took over with 8 minutes left before halftime, and Connor Halliday drove them 74 yards in 12 plays in about 5 minutes as he threw a 6-yard touchdown pass to Rickey Galvin to tie this game up at 21. Now it was Ducks ball with about 3 minutes left before halftime, but they would end up punting the ball. Rickey Galvin fumbled, and the Ducks recovered. So now they had the ball on their own 40 with less than a minute left before halftime. But on 2 consecutive plays, Mariota was sacked by Cachi Palaccio, and this game went to halftime tied at 21. Coming out of halftime, the Ducks had the ball first. They marched all the way down to the Washington State 8-yard line, but then a penalty drove them back to the 13, and Mariota was sacked, so they would be forced to go for a 32-yard field goal, and Matt Wogan missed, so this game remained tied at 21 as the Cougars took over with about 10 minutes left in the third. They drove into Oregon territory all the way to the 38, but then Halliday threw the ball to Jamal Morrill, and he ended up fumbling it. DeForest Buckner forced the fumble, and it was recovered by Argan Eric Armstead. So the Ducks took over with about 6.5 minutes left in the third, and that's when Marcus Mariota would end up throwing his 4th touchdown pass of the game as he led the Ducks 65 yards in 6 plays, taking about 2 minutes. Capped off by an 8-yard touchdown pass to Pharaoh Brown. So it was now 28-21 as the Ducks led this game by a touchdown. The Cougars now took over with about 4.5 minutes left in the third. They would end up bringing the quarter to an end, and to open up the fourth, they would be on the Oregon 12, and they would end up going for a 30-yard field goal. This time it was good, and it was now 28-24 as the Cougars trailed by just 4 points. The Ducks now took over with a little less than 10 minutes off the clock in the fourth, and they drove all the way down the field, and they right into field goal range, and Matt Wogan made a 34-yard field goal to make this game 31-24. So the Ducks now led back by a touchdown. The Cougars took over with 11 minutes left to play in the fourth. Connor Halliday drove him 75 yards to just 6 plays in 2 minutes, capped off by a 5-yard touchdown pass to Cracraft. and this game was now tied at 31. So now the Ducks had the ball with 9 minutes on the clock, and Marcus Mariota, who was 5th touchdown pass of the game after leading the Ducks 79 yards in 9 plays in about 3.5 minutes, capped off by a 6-yard touchdown pass to Keanon Lowe to put the Ducks up 38-31. So now there was 5.5 minutes left to play, and the Cougars took over. And they would march into the Ducks' territory, into field goal range, but they went for it on 4th and 13. And Tony Washington comes up huge for the Ducks as he sacks Connor Halliday and fakes this ball. The Oregon Ducks, as it was a turnover on downs, and the Ducks took over with 3.5 minutes left to play. And they brought this game to a close as they ran the ball 8 plays, 44 yards, and about 3.5 minutes off the clock, as this game will be 38-31 final score. Ducks over Cougars, and an exciting game that the Ducks hold on to win behind the strength of 5 touchdowns from Marcus Mariota as he comes up huge for Oregon. And in this game, Marcus Mariota was 21 for 25. He had 329 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. He also rushed for 58 yards off of 13 carries. Connor Halliday was 43 for 63 with 436 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. He also had -6 rushing yards off of 1 carry. The leading rusher in this game was Royce Freeman. He had 75 yards off of 20 carries. And the leading receiver was Devon Allen, who had 142 yards off of 7 receptions, as well as 2 touchdowns. Keanon Lowe also had 2 touchdowns, 104 yards, and 5 receptions for the Ducks. So the Ducks hold on to win as Marcus Mariota makes it known that he should be the front runner for the Heisman with a tremendous performance here. 5 touchdowns as the Ducks win 38-31.